All right, so let's look at how to deal with if and then the various aspect of if, like the if statement that we all know. So let me share my screen now. And okay, let me pull up my Excel. Great. So here I have some few things here. Let me increase the font size a bit. Okay, so that it's much more visible, and push it to the side so that because of my image. I don't know if I should add I think this is quite visible. So we want to look at if statement and then how to be able to make sense from it. So I think this is height. So let me see, this might be allowance. Let me put it here. I have to have a title. Maybe that should be allowance. And then and that this one should be the let's say income. Uh, so I'm just going to highlight all of them and put it so that everything will be aligned properly. So you come here, double click, and then we are good to go. So we are starting with our if statement, and we are starting from here. So if statement, what does it do? Is it provides a condition, and if the condition is met, then uh, do whatever that I ask you to do. So we, as usual, you start with equal sign, and so the equal sign gives us we have our if. So you can see the if is here, and so we are saying that we want the if to do something. So if I say, let's say, this particular cell, not the whatever that is there, we are saying that if that cell is equal to something, let's say if it is equal to, let's say, 24. So what should happen? Then you add comma. It means you have finished with the logical test. So what should happen? So you can see down here, we are saying that logical test. So this is the logical test. If something is equal to this, what should be the value? So what should happen? Maybe we should change that place to, let's say, to 54. But if it is not, we should say, uh, or we can say that we should change that place to maybe a text. Yeah. So we can say one. We should say that um, the person is an adult, like this. Then comma. If not, we should say what we can also raise up something like this and say it false and close it, and then we enter. So we can see that it's false. But when we now drag it down, we should be able to see where there are adults. So wherever I find 24, it will return that that person is an adult, and then in that order. If it doesn't find it, it will say it's false, and that's what we have given. That's if statement. We can go again, and then the same if statement. We can come here and say if like this, and then we can say that okay, check on this side, this particular cell. If that cell is equal to a pattern, let's say, and remember, if we are putting a number, we don't put it in double quotes. If you are putting a text, you put it in double quotes. Yes, that's the difference. So I have here, have January, and I put it in double quotes. So we are saying that if this cell is equal to this pattern, JAN, what should happen? Then you put your comma. Then bring out the, after the logical test, you bring out your value. So what value should we give it to it if the logical test is true? So we are saying that if it is true, we should return what the first one. So we open, provided we want to say that, uh, okay, we want to look for, let's say if it is January, we should say it has what, 31 days. So because I am putting 31, 31 is not a character. So we don't put it in double quotes. If it is not, then we should say it is false. False is a character, so we have to spell it in full. False like this. And then we close it. We close it like this, and then we return. So it's January, so it will be 31. And then we drag it down. So you can see that wherever it doesn't find generally, it will say false, and then the other one will be there. So that's how we use if statement. We can use if statement to be able to do. But there are instances we can use just more than one if. We can use several ifs. So that's one we say ifs like this. So it means the ifs are many. So the ifs allows us to be able to test more than one condition. And if the condition is met, then we simply return the logical value there. And then we go and test another condition. So it's the same place we are testing on whatever condition it finds, it should return it there. So for instance, I'm going to come here and say that, okay, so let's say I have this cell. I can say if that particular cell is, let's say, greater than, so I'm going to say if that cell is greater than, let's say, 60, we should say retired. If it's greater than 60, 60, then we should say, what is it? Retired. So we bring comma. Logical test is finished. So the next thing is to bring your value. And if the test is true, it should return the value. So what is the value? So we're saying retired. Retired is a character. So we put it this way. Yes, but we are using ifs, so it cannot just be one. So we are finished with that. Then we come to logical test two. What is the same logical test two? We are saying that if the same cell is equal to, let's say, so that same cell is greater than, let's say, 50. So what should say? We should say that the person is, let's say, middle age, or should I say, young adult, or about to retire. So we can say middle age. So I will close it like this. So that is it. If it is true, then we can come here. I think I should come on top here and continue from there. And we are still saying that, what about if that same cell is equal to, let's say, or is greater than, let's say, 40, then what should be the logical? Then we can say, what is it? What is young middle? We can say young middle or something like that. After all, is character. So we close it. So we can continue with the logical test and values ladder until we have exhausted whatever that we want. And then we are now saying that now we have done three logical tests and we have their results. So you have your logical test, you have your results. After you finish the logical test, you follow by a comma. Then you bring the value. The value is the results if it is true. Now we have finished all the tests. What about if any of them is not there? What should be the last one? So you are saying that the last one we should say maybe true, or we should say the last one we should say um, let's say NA, or we should say false. And then let's close our brackets like this and return. So we say that the person is what? The result is what? The person is retired. So let's drag it down and see what will happen. In some places, you see value. So it means that the condition is not meeting. And mostly we see retired, 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 and then in that order, middle, young, middle, and then in that order. So what we need to do here is mostly it's always appropriate to put the last part true like this, and then the last one false. And true is already a function or it's an inbuilt character that Excel already knows. So I'm going to say yeah, so retire. If I drag it down again, it might take out the value, and then that is what we're saying. So now this is how we are able to do the ifs. You can use more than one condition. Now the next column let's look at how to use if n. You are going to use more than one condition, but we wanted the two conditions to be met. So I'm saying that if the person was born in January and the person is, let's say, more than 60 years, that's two conditions. If you were born in January and you are more than 60 years, then what should we say? That's two conditions that we wanted to meet. So in that case, you are testing two conditions, and that's what we call if n. If n. So I'm going to say here, and then you start with the if. See the if comes in the first place, then you follow by n. And you see that the n is followed. So double click on that, then it opens. Then you now bring your first logical test. Your first logical test. The first logical test, let's say that we want this. We are saying that if this, okay, let's say is equal to, let's say January, then we close it. That's our logical test one. And then our logical test two. And then let's say here is equal to, let's say, Wednesday. So let me come and type here. Is equal to, let's say, Wednesday. So Wednesday is characters. So I'm not too sure I spelled the Wednesday properly because the W starts with uppercase. So if it's equal to Wednesday, we have given the two logical. So we can continue the logical until if we are satisfied. We can continue all the n until all of them are satisfied. So if these two conditions are met, what should be the first condition? The first condition, maybe you want to say that the person, maybe if the person was born in January, maybe the person was born in winter or Hamatan, during Hamatan. So I'm going to say the Hamatan. This is not a good example. Then, if not, what should we say? We should say maybe false. And close our listen, and then we return it. It's telling me that the formula is missing an opening and closing parenthesis here. I think so. So I think we have, yeah, I open two parentheses here, first one and second one here. So I'm supposed to close. I think I need to have another parenthesis here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, oh, I've over. Sorry. So if I come here, that Hamatan, then I open the other one, which is supposed to be false. Then you also have to also make sure that you have this. Then we close it. But up to this particular end, I needed to close it up there. So before, so you can see that the next opening is red. So I close it with red here. First one was black, then the last one also black. So I do that, and then it tells me that it's Hamatan. So if I come down there and then I drag it down, wherever I find January, so it's only one place, January and Wednesday, to say it was Hamatan. So that's how we are able to test. We use n to be able to test for our logical. Now, to be able to test for or if or is the same. Just remove the n over there and put or there. So I'll explain the difference or here. So that's the first one was if n, and then that's if or. The if or means that if one condition is satisfied, then we should go ahead. So at least if it checks here and then it is January, Wednesday, then it will return the value you want. If it is only January and here is not January and it is Wednesday, at least one of them is correct. So it will see return it. So it's kind of like you just want only one condition to be met for the whole statement to be true. But in the case of if n, the two statements will have to be true for the two statements for the logical value to return true. And that is it. So if I return here and then I drag it down, you will see much more. So you can see that Even though here, if we check here, the month is August, but the day is Wednesday. So it will return at least one of them is true. And then in that order, if I come here, if I check, the month is January, even though the day is not Wednesday, it's actually Monday. But because one condition is met, then the other condition is. So here is March, but here is Wednesday. So it will give us Hamilton. So that's how we are able to test for, or we are able to use the logical test to be able to find out. So we've just looked at if statement, if or, if and then ifs. The ifs are when you have more than one test that you want to check. The ifs are usually very, very, very good when you want to, let's say, what is it? Find it's a other way of like changing a column. For instance, if I wanted to change the column here to month one, month two, month three, you can use the ifs. So the ifs are many, and then it becomes very easy for you to do that. For instance, I if I have that particular, I can just come there and say that. So I'm going to use so many ifs here. So I will type it from the address or from the formula bar. So what I'm simply saying is ifs, because I'm just repeating the ifs for you to see how it is applicable. Where I'm saying that if here particular cell is equal to, let's say we have January like this, we should return a value. If the test is true, we should return what value are we returning? So we should say it is month. We should call it month one. That's the first month, right? Then we close it. We are saying that if the same, so no, we are still taking the same G3. And so we are still saying that if the same G3 is equal to the same cell, is equal to, let's say, what is it, February. Then we close it, February's character. So we should return what? What should be our logical value? We should say that one is our month two. So when we close that up, comma, we go to the second logical region. So our second, our G3 again, if it is equal to, then we have March like this. Then we should say that if it is March, then what would be the logical value there? We should say it should be months 3. And then, so we have to close it up. Remember, characters must always be in double quote. Then again, we are saying that if we have the same G3, which is equal to April, APR, so we have this APR, and then we close it. So what would be the logical value? We should say the logical value is month 4. Then we close it up. Then, so that's how I can do that up to, let's say, to the last month. You see, so I can go ahead and then say the same G3. That's the cell reference. That's the G3. If that same G3 is equal to, let's say, May, and then so we have May, then what should be the logical value? So we say that's our month 5. And then we have the same G3 if it is equal to, let's say, June. So June is here. What should be the logical value? Then we should say that the logical value is that it is month 6. So now let me explain. You are using ifs, so you are giving more than one condition. And so after that, we will do a scroll down. Then it will check through, and then wherever it finds the appropriate month, then it will give you whatever that you want. So it will check in this cell called G3. It will check for all these conditions. Whichever condition that is met, it will return the logical value there. So it will check first time, is this January? If it is January, to return this value, month 1. If not, it will check again, is it February? If it is February, to return month 2, and then in that order. But if it check, and finished, and then there's nothing there, then it should return the value, let's say true. If not, it should return a value called false, and the false we have to put it in like this, and then we close it up. So we finished, and then we return. So it will tell you that it is month one. So it will cross check here and give us month one. So if I drag it down, then in that order. So you can see we have month one, month two, month three, up to month six. So that's how we are able to, for instance, if I wanted to replace all these ones with this month one, I could have done it for all of them and then it will return it. But here, because it does not find anything, so it will return the false. It check all the conditions is not met, it will return the false, and then they tell us that no, it did not find anything there. So it will return false for us. And so that's what the ifs are, or what we always use it for. It's very effective when you want to replace something which is too long. You just give the code at once and then it will change everything for you. And so that's how it works. So I hope you've learned something. Thank you. And if you love my videos, please subscribe to my channel. And then by doing that, you are supporting me. The next video, we will try and look at other functions in Excel. Thank you. All right. So somebody's thanking me. I think that's my what is it, a junior brother, Humphrey Precious. Adi. All right. Thank you.